Today's Toy Spot, we are having a look at the DC Collectibles The New Batman Adventures. This is the set containing Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy, Livewire, Supergirl, and Batgirl. Yes, you get 5 female characters in this box set, which also I can tell you equates for a much more expensive release of this set. But nonetheless, it gives you an opportunity to pick up some figures that maybe you didn't get before, like the Harley Quinn, the Poison Ivy, and Batgirl, with what appears to be the exclusives in this set being the Livewire and Supergirl, as they have not already been released before. This is, I guess, box set 35 and comes to us from the folks over at DC Collectibles. The back of the box, while it does not feature any read-up, does give you your relied, tried and true go-to as www.dccomics.com if you'd like to check out some cool DC-related comic and character-related releases. As well as there's the www.comicshoplocator.com spot's always plugging away that, but you know, that's also a good place to find your local comic book store if you can't find or are not aware of one in your area. So it's actually a reliable website. I've used it myself. Spot's going to take a break and get this opened up. When we come back, though, we're going to get a better look at the DC Collectibles The New Batman Adventures Set 35 featuring these 5 figures. There's more anyway, guys. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Okay, so now that we've got them all out of packaging, accessory-wise, they're actually pretty bare bones. Essentially, what you're seeing right here is all they come with. They don't come with any additional accessories, additional hands, additional heads. Basically, all you get is the 5 figures and then their corresponding 5 display stands. So we'll look at these individually, and we'll kind of weigh in our opinions of these as we go along. First things first, we've got ourselves the Harley Quinn. Now, this Harley Quinn, as well as the Poison Ivy and the Batgirl on the end, are revisits to previous figures. This Harley Quinn may not be the initial Harley Quinn that we got first, with the smaller head, smaller torso and frame. This is actually the re-released one that we've already looked at that came with that zany interchangeable head. Spot's already done the review of that, so if you wanted to check out the review of maybe after the fact and after you've watched this review, by all means. So this one here, sadly, if you've already picked up the second re-released New Adventures Harley, this is exactly the same figure. From head to toe, the only thing that's different, or I shouldn't say the only thing different about this release, is that it just does not have the other head. Doesn't come with any accessories, just again, bare bones. She does have defaulted to her hands, just a pair of flat palms. Paint actually is pretty good on these. I mean, paint on all of these are really good. I would, though, argue the point that perhaps if you were picking up this set for yourself, which this set is close to about $100, you may not necessarily need a Harley Quinn or a Poison Ivy or a Batgirl. If you hadn't already picked up those figures, this is by all means a great pickup because you're kind of filling in the back characters that you missed your chance on before. Harley Quinn is, well, no stranger, I'm sure, to most collectors' shelves. You've already gotten this figure before. You'll have her again. I guess as a virtue, if you had that zany head from the other Harley Quinn, you could just pop the head off one of these, replace that head, and then essentially you would have 2 different Harleys using the double, the second released Harley as a double. So yeah, nothing too much to say about this Harley. She's not bad. I mean, I feel like her face still could use a little bit of work. It doesn't have like a big, not zany. I didn't want that big-eyed Harley that we got with the other interchangeable head. I don't want that necessarily. I kind of want something just in the middle, you know, like a smirking or a laughing Harley. I don't know, but this one is okay. It just, I feel like it could be so much better though. Posability on this Harley Quinn. Her head is on the ball joint, and essentially all the figures are going to have the exact same posability. Ball hinge joint shoulders, full rotation there. A ball joint in the forearm, rotates the forearm. A rotation in the hand. No ball joint or hinge joint in the torso, but the legs go forward, back, and out. This leg's just really, really stiff on mine. A hinge at the knee. And finally, nothing in the feet, at least here on Harley. It's because the feet are so small, they just don't opt to hinge the joint on the feet, which I'm perfectly fine with. So there's Harley Quinn. Again, not really much to be said for her because we've already gotten this figure before. She has the hardest of times to stand, but luckily they do include display stands with all these figures. Unfortunately, the display stand on some of these are better than others. I think Livewire's, we're going to look at hers in a second, and Batgirl's specifically. This hinge joint, I don't know if it's just by constant reuse of the same mold, but you'll see that in a lot of my videos, these get really loose. Batgirl's especially, like it will just drop on its own. A simple swap out, and I mentioned this before, a simple peg on the display base, just make use of the display base as a standee. You don't necessarily, I wouldn't even really make use of these to be perfectly honest, but just a little small nitpick I would say is that the display stands, again, they're not being used, I think, to the best of their abilities. Perhaps loose knees could be an issue where they want something to support the figure upright. But I find these display stands, they're not entirely the greatest. Moving along to Poison Ivy, hers actually is a little on the loose side. You can see it's kind of sliding up and down here. Display stand has a front, side, and 3/4 back turnaround. Same, again, adjustable waist clip. These have just gotten really, really loose over time, and I guess just mold degradation. They're just reusing the same mold for these. And over time, I mean, they're not the tight ones that we used to get. They've gotten a little bit of loose over time. Okay, so here we have Poison Ivy. Now again, we've kind of been down this road before, although this Poison Ivy does actually come across a little bit whiter in complexion than the original Poison Ivy. And unfortunately, I don't know where I put my Harley Quinn or Poison Ivy that I could use as comparisons. So unfortunately, you'll have to kind of go back and look at my other video of the Poison Ivy, which, not a bad figure, no issues whatsoever with the figure. Just don't feel like she could have been or should have been included in this set if you likely had already picked up Poison Ivy. If she's rare for you, maybe you didn't get a chance to get her initially, this set makes perfect sense because you can pick up on those figures that you didn't get before. I don't know. I'm of two different minds. One mind thinks to myself, or thinks aloud, this set really could have catered the diehard collectors of this set, or the set of the DC Collectibles Batman figures, that maybe they should have thrown in specific nods to characters. So for example, the Harley Quinn could have a very distinct face sculpt. Poison Ivy could have done something a little bit different that we didn't get before. Maybe something more acute to one of the episodes that she appeared in, something that's very distinct to that episode, thereby making this figure a more exclusive to this set. But other than a slight variant to the coloring, I don't think that this is any bit different than the other Poison Ivy that we received. The face sculpt is good, but I don't really think that we necessarily needed yet another Poison Ivy of basically making use of the same mold. Her head is on same ball joint and hinge joints. Basically everything on the Harley Quinn carries here then to the Poison Ivy. So that has rotation in the shoulders, the legs, the knees, and whatnot. I probably won't spend a lot of time on the posability because with these, they're all basically exactly the same. So there's Poison Ivy. Again, slight sense of deja vu. We've seen these before. We've seen Batgirl before. We'll look at her again. Then we get to the rare, more exclusives to this set, one being Livewire. Now, Livewire's display base, it's getting a little on the loose side. She's got a 3/4 front, 3/4 back turnaround. Not a bad display base, just maybe a peg hole or something could have gone a long way on these. Just, I don't like these. At any rate, there's Livewire's display base. The figure as a whole, not bad. Face sculpt's pretty good. I like that she's got a big smile on her face. Actually, her smile is something I think she has personality in her face that Poison Ivy sorely lacks. She's got the dark blue outfit, leg-high boots. Again, not really any complaints at all with the figure. I'm really happy that we got ourselves a Livewire. Didn't necessarily need to make it into this set, I think, for all the extra, filler figures. And I don't want to say filler figures because, just because I picked up the figures before. To any new collector, this is a great opportunity to get a bunch of Vixens together. But the face sculpt's actually pretty good. The hair sculpt is also quite nice. I like the ice blue hair peaked off and pointed off in tips there. She is a very pretty looking figure. I like the lightning bolt. I feel like it could be just a little bit more defined than what it ended up being. It looks like it's slightly a little softer on the edges. Other than that, though, a really nice paint job as a whole. Posability on her, exactly the same. So hinged shoulders, legs, knees, whatnot. Might I also add, too, this articulation on this particular figure is nice and tight. Nothing loose. Even the knees feel nice and stiff and solid. And then even the hinges in the ankles. So good all-around figure. Zero complaints with Livewire. Put her on the display stand. Then lastly, I guess the other exclusive figure before we look at Batgirl is Supergirl here. Now Supergirl is in her earlier looks, her earlier appearance outfit. So it's the white belly tee with the Superman emblem, Supergirl emblem there on the top. Shorter cape, shorter blue skirt, and kind of red Doc Marten kind of military boots that she's got going on there as well. Later into the show, she would get also the longer sleeved blue outfit. I don't know if they will ever delve into that. Face sculpt, nice and pretty. She's got the fuller face, the big smile, the thinner looking eye sockets. The bangs are also nicely done. Hair sculpt, no complaints whatsoever. Just a great looking figure. Did it necessarily need to come in a 5-pack? Maybe not. I don't know. Posability on her. Her head is about the only thing that's a little bit different than the rest of the figures, just by virtue of the fact you can't really move her head too much because she's got this solid hair piece at the back that kind of limits a little bit more of that. Also, the skirt does limit a little bit of the leg movement. You can get a forward and back motion on the legs, not really much on the way of a split. Still has the hinge in the knee and the hinge in the foot. And she does also have a rotation in the boot, which I guess the other figures didn't necessarily have. Whoops, and try not in the process of it drop poor Supergirl. She might be indestructible, but even still. Again, no problems at all with the Supergirl. Nice figure, nice figure. Oh, and also, I don't know if I actually showed the display stand. Maybe I did. I don't know. Spot's memory is escaping lately. Front, side, and 3/4 back turn on Supergirl. Nice stiff, this display stand. No issues with the neck. And there is Supergirl. All right. Lastly, another deja vu moment here. A sense that we've already done this before. We are right. We've got ourselves the Batgirl. Batgirl's neck, unfortunately, not on the figure, but on the display stand, extremely loose. This poor neck, look at this. It just slides all over the place. There's what her display stand looks like. A front and side 3/4 back turn. Again, size of the display stand is exactly the same as all the other figures. Now this Batgirl we've seen before. We've picked this figure up before. She had a lot of other accessories like a grapple gun and different interchangeable hands. This one, unfortunately, bare bones. Nice colored Batgirl here in the solid black, a nice dark black. And the yellow accents there in the Bat emblem, the gloves, the boots, the belt. There's her face. Nice, pretty face. This is also something, too, that I wish the Harley Quinn could have had. And I know I don't want to keep going back to how I disliked that Harley. I did like the Harley, but it wasn't as good as it could have been. See the little bit of coloring that they add to Batgirl's lip. That's a small little bit of just added detail that adding something like that to Harley Quinn gone a long way. I feel like her face just seems so absent. Like we hold the two figures up side by side. This one just feels like it's got a lot more personality. The face sculpt is so much nicer than Harley Quinn here that part of me actually would love to take, and I won't because I'm not a great customizer, is actually take the hair off, sand down the ears, maybe cut these off. I know I don't want to be dissecting this, but if I took the two figures and mashed them together and painted this up, I think actually this would be a better Harley Quinn face, in all honesty, than this one right here. sorely lacking, I think, a real true update on Harley Quinn. I hope DC Collectibles goes back and really entertains the idea of revisiting that figure, giving us something a little bit more personality to it. And there is Batgirl. Again, like this, I know we are getting an original classic Batgirl from the original animated series. This would have been a good opportunity, I think, to incorporate a classic Batgirl, a classic Poison Ivy, and maybe even like a Dr. Harleen Quinzel version of Harley Quinn, so that basically every figure in this set were all exclusives. At the end of the day, unfortunately, only 2 of the figures for a diehard collector of this line, only 2 figures are exclusives. The other 3 figures, in all honesty, I find are almost filler figures unless you didn't pick them up initially. If you didn't get them initially, they're great pickups to get all of them basically in one swoop. You're getting all good characters. But for like a diehard collector, you might already have these 2. You might also already have Batgirl, that you're essentially spending $100 or more to get 2 exclusives that may not make any other appearance besides this box set here. So I don't know if I would necessarily say I would recommend the set. The set is good, but in all honesty, if you've already collected these figures, you're really spending much more than you need to get 2 figures that you don't have in your set. Mileage may vary on your opinion. Let me know down below what you think of this set. And if you are interested in picking this up for yourself, you can find these at your local comic book store. Again, the price point is roughly about $95 to $100, which works out to be cheaper because each figure works out as $20 rather than the $24 to $25 that Spot was buying for each of the individual figure releases. Today, though, we were having a look at the DC Collectibles. This was the new Batman Adventures. This was the 5-pack. I think it was figure box set 35, consisting of Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy, Livewire, Supergirl, original classic Supergirl, and the new Adventures Batgirl. Stay tuned, guys. Spot's going to have more Toy Spots heading your way. As always, thanks for watching. See you next time.